What's up, guys? We are back. It's been a couple days. I have a lot on my plate. Unfortunately, YouTube has to take a back seat to all of that. I've been dealing with an eviction, getting that renter out and getting all their crap out. I had to clean all their crap out. Um, my daughter had gymnastics this week, so it was a busy week. A lot on my plate. I have a funny and embarrassing story to tell you, and of course it all revolves around the machine, the Onefinity that I have been having problems with. So I got it all put back together. If you've seen my past videos, you know that the problem I was having was with X movement, and tore it apart, hoping to find some answers, and put it all back together, and then the X didn't work at all. So yeah, I was pretty disappointed for a couple days about that. I did all that work, and every time I tried to do something, it just kept getting worse, and it seemed like I was all my efforts were only making things worse. So I got it all put back together, and X was not working at all. And uh, one thing I kind of don't like about the Onefinity, now that I've taken it apart, it's a minor thing and probably not a big deal if you don't ever have to take it apart, but um, there is a wire that connects the motor for the X-rail to where the wire that goes to the box plugs in. So the wire that goes to the box plugs in here, the motor's over here, and then there's like an extension connection through that inner tube on the X-rail, that lower tube. And the only way to get access to that wire is to take the whole X-rail up and off of the machine, because you have to get to the bottom of the X-rail, the foot on the bottom. I can show you all this on the machine, but you have to get access to that foot, the underneath side, and the only way to get access to the underneath side is to take that whole X-rail up off and then get to the other side. And you have to undo a screw in there so that you can take this little connector off, and then you can pull that whole wire out. And I thought that maybe there was an issue with that wire, because I got it all put back together and then that X didn't work at all. I'm like, great, well, I'll get back in there and I'll check that wire. So I took it all back apart, checked that wire. Of course, tried unplugging and plugging back in the X wire that goes from the box to the machine. I unplugged and plugged that in a couple times. Didn't do anything. I tore it all apart, got back in there, checked all the connections on that wire. They all seemed fine. It didn't seem like that was an issue. So yeah, I pretty much gave up for a couple days. Didn't even want to look at it. But now for the funny and embarrassing part. So good news, it works. It's working, X is working, and I think we're good. The embarrassing part is, so there's the X wire that goes from the box to the machine, and I had two of them because I replaced that wire thinking that that was the issue, and you know, for a little while it seemed like that was the issue and it seemed like that was working. But either way, I had two of these X wires. The old one was zip tied to the Z, and I kind of just left it hanging there and left it zip tied because I didn't feel like cutting those zip ties off. So the old one was sitting there, but then the new X one was plugged in and it was separate. It wasn't zip tied to anything. And I thought I plugged in that new X cable, because the new one was a lot darker, a lot blacker than the older one, because the older one was coated in sawdust, you know. So the new one looks brand new. It looks nice and dark and black. It's got like a mesh coating over the wire. And the old one looks old. Well, what I did was I plugged one end of the new wire in, and the other end I plugged the old X cable in. So there was no connection actually from the box to the machine like I thought in X. So that's why my X wasn't working at all, because it wasn't even plugged in. I thought I had it plugged in, but I had two separate X wires plugged in, and somehow I missed that. I thought I checked everything. I unplugged and plugged that wire back in a couple times. Um, and I did all that work, taking it back apart, getting back into that lower rail to check all the connections there. Didn't need to do any of that. That was a waste of time. So yeah, it was all my own fault. And this whole issue from the beginning, I think it was what we finally thought it was. It was just build up on that ball screw for the X movement. And I should have kept the machine cleaner. That's my own fault. If I would have done better machine maintenance, I probably wouldn't have ever had the issue at all. So everything was my own fault, and I'm just stupid. But it's funny. It's all good. Life's good. So let's go check it out. I'll show you the machine. I'll try to show you quick everything I'm talking about here. So hopefully that gives you guys a nice, entertaining laugh for your day today. All right, so here is the machine. We're back, we're put together, and it looks like everything works. Y works. Y has always worked, didn't have any issues there. But this is where we were having issues, and you can see now that is in the rapid movement, and it's not getting hung up at all. Before it wouldn't rapid at all. So I think we're good. I think the issue is fixed. It seems to be running smooth, sounds nice, no issues. So I'm happy, we're good. These are the feet right here that I was talking about. So you have to take this whole X rail up and off. It just comes off with, there's 4 bolts, a couple here, a couple on the back side. So on each side there's 4. You just remove those, and then you can take that whole thing up and off of there. But you got to get, sorry if you can see here, you got to get to the underside of this foot, because to get the wire out that runs through this lower X rail, right here is where it plugs in, and the only way to get this out is, again, to get access to that underside foot. And there's a screw that goes up in there that you got to remove to get that out, and then you can pull the wire and the X rail all the way out.